Thank you very much. I want to start off with how things are going economically from a Canadian perspective. Canada is going through a bit of a change. And what I mean by that is there was a downward swing in 2018 that no matter which province you were part of, you kind of felt a change happening. We felt it the most here in Alberta. 2019, we are still feeling it here, but now the other provinces are starting to feel the pinch. Things are starting to change when it comes to the overall cost of living, and it's slowing down. Things are not as optimistic as they used to be. Inflation is a very important piece when it comes to the retail world. People spend less when they know prices are going up. Ironically, people spend less when they think prices are going down. So retail kind of gets the shaft on both ends sometimes. I really believe that we're starting to see inflation creep up. We're seeing minimum wages in certain provinces have gone up. People are paying a bit more. It's happening, but it's going to start to trickle into the pocketbook of the individual. When the price of gasoline doubles, that's the first indication that a recession is coming. That's going to happen here. We're already hearing people in New Brunswick, BC, and everywhere in between upset about this whole change. Carbon tax, partly, but also the price of oil has gone up too. So I'm concerned that these inflation numbers that the Bank of Canada or the reports that you may be getting from your own offices and so forth, I think they're underestimated. No matter which part of this country, regardless of your belief on political, environmental, or whatever it may be, oil is still a major factor for this country. It is a driving force. And it is the one true commodity or product that comes out of this country that the world wants. Now, if I go back to 2015, spending on extraction for oil was about 1/4 of the overall spending in our economy in Canada. It's now 1/10 or 10%. So the spending has gone down considerably. When people are spending, or companies are spending less on oil, they basically are not hiring here in the major hubs for oil companies such as Calgary. That impacts retail sales here. GDP forecast for the country is going to be picking up slowly. Where the issues come into play is employment. And I want to focus on unemployment numbers because that will impact retail sales. That will impact interest rates. So for your own pocketbooks, your own mortgages, your own loans and so forth, as unemployment starts to pick up, you're going to see the central bank probably freeze or cut interest rates. This is why we've seen actually mortgage rates gone down in the last few weeks. We've seen bond prices gone down in the last few weeks. These are the things that are happening right now. When it comes to unemployment, Alberta expected for 2019 7.1%. That's Alberta. Calgary is worse. Calgary right now is at 7.3%. My view on this is the only way we're going to be able to change that number dramatically is if we change industries dramatically, because it's not going to be a quick turnaround. So we have a lot of headwind when it comes to unemployment. Another issue when it comes to retail sales, the growth of the economy is housing starts. We're talking about brand new construction of homes. When you look at the new home prices, you can see the average price has fallen year over year about by 7%. More inventory or more homes for sale. When you supply the market, prices go down. This is a confidence issue. If your home is dropping in value, does that make you feel like going to the mall and spending money? Most Canadians don't. I believe in retail therapy, so I do it. I don't know. But I think that's going to be an impact here in Calgary. When we start seeing that people's homes are not going up, that will impact their pocketbook or their spending or their confidence in spending. Motor vehicle sales are down about 6% year over year. When I speak to the people who are in the sales department in Alberta, specifically in Calgary, and I ask them, how's retail sales? They're saying it's great. They're selling. And I ask, is it refinancing? Are they flipping cars? And then the stories come out. And here are some of the stories that I'm hearing. I'm hearing that there are individuals who are unable to afford their car payment. So they take their car, they go back to the dealership, and they do some weird refinancing, get a new car out of it, and their payments have actually gone down. It's very interesting, this creative financing, and they're actually now extending loans to 8 years. Nowadays, vehicles don't last 8 years, and yet you're still paying for it. And so this is what's changing, the creative financing. To me, that's the biggest opportunity for a major downturn in the retail world. Because if you can't afford the new car by doing this strategy over and over again, you're losing money out of your pocketbook because your payments are going up, which means you have less money to spend. So we need to educate. Part of my mantra will be to educate individuals of not doing this sort of thing and actually figuring out a proper budget. I think that's where the most important piece comes into play. There's also a difference in how people are packaging. For example, in the food retail sales side, they're reducing the volume but keeping the price the same. So if it was a 250 milliliter can, it's now going to go to 245, 240. Same price. My view, when it comes to shopping centers, it's all about experience now. It's all about getting that individual to get off their ass and get into the mall. And people like myself love e-commerce. I'm the laziest guy out there when it comes to shopping. I want everything delivered to my door. So what's going to get me going to the malls? The experience, the type of stores they bring in, valet parking, stuff like that is going to bring on. Now we have to get even more innovative, get more creative on how to bring in people, especially with the dollars. So you're going to see a skew towards children. More children in the malls means they go in every direction, which means to shut them up, I gotta buy something. General merchandise sales are down. Specialty, high-end, luxury is up. It's funny, we're feeling like we're in a recession, yet, man, that Apple store is damn busy. Yet they're buying $1,000 phones. There is such a good correlation between housing and retail sales that you'll notice the areas in the city that have the best housing are the areas where the shopping plazas and shopping malls are doing well. There is a correlation. I can tell you when a person buys a home, and you guys might have experienced this yourself, when you bought a home or moved into a new home, within the first 5 years of that, you've already bought a new car. It just happens. The minute you hold your first child in your new home, the amount of retail sales just kick out. Huge. So as you start to see the change in the purpose of the house, going from condo to townhouse to single detached, those numbers change and the correlation of spending happens. How we get these shopping centers to connect with that will bring the individual into the mall, which will increase sales. So 2019, 2020 is going to be challenging time for your industry, which is why I keep on coming back to the whole innovation, creativity, getting them into the mall, into the shopping center, in a different way than just to buy a good. Because they will spend money. The propensity to spend money will always be there. It's how do you get there? How do you bring more traffic? Externally, what are some of our concerns? US and China trade discussions are happening. I think they're going to have a deal. Here's my analogy between those two countries. The United States makes a product like plastic. They send it over to China. China then turns it into a toy, which they send it back to Walmart to sell. The people at Walmart borrow money from the Chinese so they can buy that toy. These guys are all tied together. They're going to solve this problem. So I'm not as concerned about that. It's just what comes out of intellectual property and so on, luxury brands. So what the Chinese government is doing is they are now saying to Chinese, and I don't know if you guys have Chinese customers who fly in, buy stuff and leave, but the government doesn't want that to happen in China. They're changing that mindset. So what's happening is they're saying, we would rather you go to Beijing and buy your luxury goods than travel abroad, because we want to keep the money in China. Here's a problem that's going to happen in Vancouver, probably a little bit in Toronto. The government right now in China gave a hint to their citizens. If you've taken more than $100,000 US out of the country, you are breaking the law. Because the capital controls 100,000. Vancouver's in trouble because did they not just buy a whole bunch of real estate out there? Every single one of those individuals who are Chinese citizens who took money out of their country are in potential of breaking the law in China. If they do a cash call, there's a problem. So this US trade thing goes beyond just trade. So if they want to bring money back to China, they can. And here's what they've done in certain parts of California, especially in the San Diego area. They had targeted individuals in China. They said, hey, your family's going to lose all their jobs in China unless you bring all your money back. And that's them being nice. The Chinese government can do a lot worse because they can. So the fear now is, where's this capital going to flow? So this US-China trade thing is a done deal in my view. I think they're going to get it taken care of. It's the ramifications of capital of where that's going to go. And that will impact, say for example, Vancouver homes, which will then spiral into them not spending money in retail. So my concerns are what the Chinese government will do after they sign it. Then the one that I'm worried about for you guys. The Congress, especially the Democrats, have asked to reopen the ratification of the North American Free Trade Agreement. They want to relook at this. They're going through everything to see what they can do to change it to help the average American. That's all they're worried about. I have not heard much out of the Canadian government yet, except for we're going to put tariffs on it. So if you want two bullies to stop fighting in the playground, tell one to punch the other. That doesn't solve anything. So if it becomes another issue, if we cannot ratify this, they're going to start putting import taxes or tariffs. That could import. I think electronics will be the place to go. I'm hearing 30% increase in tariffs there. Because they're going to double negative. Hurt us to purchase, hurt Asia for sending it out. I think between federal government election and NAFTA ratification, in your industry, I would spend more on NAFTA ratification. That's going to be a bigger impact, I think. It's funny how the liquor sales go up when I talk about economics. You know, it's not like you guys are just pouring. That's awesome. And then finally, I want to kind of give you a bit of a conclusion. Canadian economy is okay, but recession questions are still looming. I call it a 50-50 toss that we're going to be in a recession in Canada, 2019 or 2020. It's a coin toss. But the message again I want to reiterate is we are in an e-commerce world where Faisal doesn't have to get off his ass. How do you get Faisal into the mall? That's the challenge. And if we can answer that collectively or individually, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay for the long term. I want to thank you for allowing me to come speak to you today. It's a real pleasure, especially at a venue like this where alcohol flows when you give an economic report. It's amazing. I love it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me.